Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Michaela Peters, or Mikaela Peters as they call me in Finland. So I apologize in advance because we still have construction going on next door, and then I have this fan in the background, so I don't know how bad the background noise is. Also, potentially this may be my last video for a while and I need to take a break, and then I'll come back to this later because there is a probability that I could get induced tomorrow for my birth, so we'll see how that goes. And I can come back and talk about my wonderful birthing experience in Finland, so we'll see. First, I'm going to address a couple of the comments. I'm pretty bad at responding to the comments, so I try to do them in the videos. People are like, use a sleeping mask to be able to sleep better. Starring my one and only, actually I have two of these, but one of two Turkish Airlines sleeping masks. Oh, well, maybe you should get a better sleeping mask. Here's the problem, is that I can still kind of see from under the sleeping mask. Maybe my nose is too pointy. There's that. I also do have blackout curtains, thanks to my friend who came from the US and brought those for me. Now, one of the issues with it is there's always still like this little sliver of light that comes through, and it's enough to wake me up because, again, I'm pretty sure with being pregnant, I just became highly photosensitive the whole time. Alright, so today I wanted to do a topic that I thought might be interesting as perhaps my final topic for a while. Depends whether I get induced tomorrow. But I want to talk about finding jobs in Finland as a foreigner. Because one of the things I've been frequently hearing, even nowadays, is that finding a job in Finland is difficult even for Finnish people. So, basically multiply that times some number to indicate how much harder it is for foreign people. And I'm going to talk about all my job suggestions and all the market research that I did for trying to find a job as a person, an international person, and then basically I will explain why I guess I have still rather not successfully gotten a job. Okay, so the joke about working at McDonald's is this. Back in 2022, there was a Lappeenranta career fair type of event at the town hall in the city center, and I went to it, and it was just random jobs, okay? It wasn't professional jobs, it was just any job. And so I went up to every single booth, and I was like, hi, I still don't speak Finnish very well, would you hire me? And the only place that said yes was McDonald's. And I did apply to work at McDonald's, but I didn't give a ton of availability, and that's the reason why they wouldn't consider my application. They actually told me back that that's why. Retrospectively, I kind of wish I gave them more availability, and I tried to do that. The thing is, it's a little bit inconvenient because the McDonald's is not near where I live, and I don't have a car. So there was kind of that problem. Other options, I think. So I have one international friend who works for LOAS, the Lappeenranta Opiskelija-asunto, whatever it is, so the housing company for for all students. But, I mean, that could have been an option maybe, but apparently she was telling me you need a car for that job too, so actually maybe not. But that wasn't really a job I considered, but anyway, that could be another one for, non-Finnish speakers, perhaps. Now, okay, so that was the whole idea of McDonald's, and that's why I kind of constantly joke about I'll just go work at McDonald's, because McDonald's is basically the only job that I'm aware that I could get in Lappeenranta that's just any job without speaking Finnish. So I couldn't work at Prisma, I couldn't work at K-Market, I couldn't work at S-Market. Maybe I could be a cleaner. I did have one international friend who did that, and then the other job I knew that somebody was doing was postie. Alright, so maybe those couple of ones. Because that's a common conversation topic. This is why you make friends with other international people, because then you can talk about this kind of stuff, and it's pretty interesting. Okay, so now we're going to get into master's thesis worker positions, because I did successfully secure one of these. Out of my Fulbright cohort of 6 people, I think I was actually the only one who secured a paid master's thesis position. So that's pretty all right. But I was really trying. I was super being a try-hard with that. So here's what I did. I was I want a paid master's thesis worker position. And then my advisor was okay, well, if you start looking now, and it was October, I think you'll get one. He was indeed correct. I got one, and I started February 6th. How did I secure one? Honestly, I volunteered at Slush. And I went up to every single person I could find, every single company, and I was hey, I want a master's thesis worker position, will you hire me? And then they're well, what are you studying and what do you want it to be about? I'm I'll let it be about anything you want me to do research on, but this is what I'm studying and this is what I'm interested in. And a bunch of them were get back to me around after the holiday time, after January 1st. I was okay. So I followed up with all these people online. Okay, also the fun fact about me is I used to intern at NASA in the U.S. Wow, that's so cool. Yeah, it was. It was cool, don't get me wrong. But after a while, it was just a job. Anyway, so I talked to like this one contractor for ESA, like the European Space Agency. And so that was like the strongest lead. I like really wanted to work there because I thought that would be cool. I don't know if that's a conflict of interest, hopefully, and probably not. But anyway, I was following up with that guy a lot. I think his name was Rope or something. And then there were a couple other ones I was following up with. But I had this big dream of getting out of Lappeenranta, which, like, the irony at this point, because now I never want to leave Lappeenranta or go to Helsinki. But I was like, okay, I'm going to get a job in Helsinki. And I was, like, so desperate to move to Helsinki because, like, I was just having a particularly hard time with friends at that point, and I'll make a whole nother video on that later. But I was just like, I just want to get out of here. I just want to start over. Like, I just want to get a master's thesis position in Helsinki. And it did not happen. Instead, I got a master's thesis worker position in Lappeenranta, which retrospectively was kind of cool because then I didn't really have to, like move all my stuff. But also retrospectively, maybe things would have been like cooler if I did go to Helsinki, but whatever, it doesn't matter. It's how it worked out. So like the one guy who did follow up with me, he worked at this company in Lappeenranta, and he's like, come to our company and check it out, and we'll tell you what we do, and you can tell us what you want to do. So I did that. I actually used to work at Elster Oy, which is like basically, this is pretty interesting. So electricity pricing in Finland, I'm pretty sure works differently than in the US, where you have all the spot pricing and stuff. And so the idea was they had this apparatus that allowed you to store electricity so that you could like essentially get cheaper electricity. And yeah, like I did like market research for them. I mean, it was fine. So I was getting paid the absolute minimum that per the LUT contract you were allowed to get paid, which was like, I want to say, was it 1,331? And maybe it's gone up since then. But, I think I was like, or was it like, it was somewhere around there. I can't remember if it was 1,100 or 1,300. And when I broke it down, I was like, wait, so if I'm working full time, I'm only getting paid $7 an hour. And I was like pretty sad about this because that's pretty bad by US standards. But at the same time, I just appreciated the structure and that I was able to get out of the house in the middle of having seasonal depression. However, one thing that I would say was not great about this was that I kind of worked alone in a room most of the time, so that didn't help me be any less depressed necessarily. And I do feel like I had quite a few mental breakdowns at work. And then, as one person joked, I would take these depression naps because there was a couch there, and I would just take a nap around lunchtime and then like go back to doing whatever I was doing. So maybe retrospectively, I wish I had something that was a little bit more hands-on, but hey, beggars can't be choosers, and at least I got something. But yeah, how did I get that? Like the hidden network, the hidden job network, which they talk about a lot in Finland. Like my current roommate who actually relocated temporarily to Helsinki to work was explaining that as long as you're networking in the Finnish circles, it's a lot easier to get a job. So I had that job, and like I'm appreciative and I'm very fortunate I had that job. So that's my point, is like I did successfully get one. It's just like sometimes I think you're like coming out of the US, your pay expectations are going to be different, but also like you have to keep in mind your cost of living is different, right? So like my rent at that time was $250, and so if I'm making like $1,100, that's still like literally only a quarter of my income. Whereas in the US, my rent is going to be half of my income. Monopoly money over there, let me tell you. Rent in the US is $2K, not $250. We're talking 10 times more, and maybe you're getting paid like 3 times more. So it does not sound good. Okay. Now, again, this was my experience. I then got like, I'm not going to say lazy, but I had an internship in the US in 2022, so I decided to proceed with that instead of necessarily finding a job in Finland. My course for staying in Finland became doing a PhD program, which I'm now currently still applying for funding for. So to be perfectly honest with you, I'm just letting that take as long as it's going to take, and I do keep applying for funding, but I'm kind of doing minimal work. Also, obviously, maternity leave. But I'm sort of trying to kick that can down the road for as long as I can, because it's just going to help me get more years for the residence permit to ultimately get citizenship. And it's like, you know, so going back to like, well, why don't you just try to find a full-time position? Because then I have to go to Helsinki, which like I don't really want to do, because not only is the cost of living higher, I just really enjoy the understimulating nature of being in Lappeenranta. And especially now that like I've gotten used to being in Lappeenranta and being autistic, I don't like changes. Yeah, that's no, like honestly though, like I'm pretty sure that's it. It's just like I'm getting to a point where, especially, this is not just like an autism thing, this is just like a you get older thing, and you just like don't want things to keep changing. You like, I did a bunch of like doing crazy stuff between the ages of 21 and 28, and 7 years of it was enough. I'm like good. I just mean like I moved around a lot, I traveled a lot, I did a lot of different things, and it's like I worked at NASA, I studied Russian, I lived in this country, I lived in that country, I did a master's degree here, blah blah. So, whatever. But anyway, the whole point of this is it is possible to find a job in Finland. But it is kind of true that, like, really the easiest way to find a job in Finland is to just go, like, meet people randomly at these places and talk to them. I had also gone to the contact forum a couple years in a row, and theoretically, if I was going to find a job in Finland, I guess I could, you know, do that there. I'm starting to understand, I think the highest salary monthly is, like, 3,000, but then you're probably taking home, like, 2,500. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, because, you know, again, I don't have like a ton of experience with this. So part of this is me just talking about the limited things I know and what I've heard. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to get a job here. So part of like me making this channel, the Finnish one, is I would like, my other channel's already monetized. Like I would like to monetize this channel, and then, you know, like mark Finland as the, place where I'm earning the money, and then, you know, get paid in euros, and then that can like contribute towards my Euro fund, I'm gonna call it, because I'm always trying to get more euros. That's, yeah. So I don't know. And then I know in Finland they're really into entrepreneur stuff. I was trying to do a startup. I can't figure out how to do it. It's hard. I guess that's why they call it a startup, because you're trying to start it up, and sometimes it doesn't want to start. I don't know. Okay, but anyway, so again, this is just my experience. It's not like a whole like you should do this and you should do that. It's just personally, like, also during the time I was applying for master's thesis worker positions, I was like serial applying to all of these online, and I almost got an internship in Helsinki, which I was going to try to like loosely use for my master's thesis. But then there were like 6 people who got interviewed. I got down to round 2, and then they went with the other, like there were 2 of us, I mean, and they were choosing between us, and they went with the other person. And I was like, I was upset. But anyway, that happens. And then I remember my roommate at the time was like, don't worry, it just means there's a better opportunity coming for you. And I was like, okay, thanks, maybe you're right. So whether that was true or not, I mean, I got the opportunity here, and it was fine, you know. It wasn't like my favorite job, but it was fine. Yeah, cool. And then they didn't want to offer me something full-time, so I was like, all right, then. So basically I applied for a searching for work permit for a number of years, and then I eventually got into the PhD program. So that's kind of where I'm chilling right now. Yeah. But anyway, again, I don't know if this is helpful or at least interesting to kind of talk about that experience, but, you know, again, if I were to try to find something in Finland, I would probably try to do more of these networking things, because I just find that they're more efficient than, well, first off, like, writing cover letters is annoying. Although I'm sure everybody's using AI to do that at this point, so it's probably, like, kind of more useless, but yeah. Okay, well, I think that will be my video for today. And again, I do not know when I'm coming back. It depends on what happens tomorrow. And then I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my, perhaps, last day of freedom. No, I don't know. We'll see. All right, well, thank you for your support of my channel. Thank you, everybody, for your engaging comments. I read all of them, even though I'm terrible at responding to them. Yeah, I need to do more of the Finnish practice stuff. That's another thing. But yeah, I'm going to keep trying, and we'll see where we get to. All right, well, until my next video, whenever that will be, let's see. Bye.